Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Hindley Hall Herald podcast. We're on episode number 4 now. That's going to go out at the beginning of April. So once again, welcome to co-host and virtual course manager here at Hindley. How are you doing?
All right, doing good.
No more holidays since last time we spoke.
Nothing booked, nothing planned.
Right,
disappointing.
Good stuff. Well, summer's on the way, so we can look forward to that. So since our last podcast went live at the beginning of March, we've been blessed with some pretty decent weather here in the UK for early spring. So Andy, as usual, the king of data, is just going to run through some of our headline data from the last month.
Okay, so let's start with rainfall. Rainfall for this year, March this year. So what date are we today? The 27th, 28th. So this month. So far, 21 mil of rain with nothing forecast either. Yeah. So it'll probably stay at that for the month, and that's fallen over 5 days compared to last year of 110, which fell over 17 days.
Wow!
So we're massively down on March, which then moves us on to temperature. So this year we're slightly up on a high temp, which is good news. We've had a high of 17.5 degrees compared to last year of a high of 15.2, and then low temp we're about the same, so minus 1.1 this year, minus 0.6 last year.
Right. Okay.
So thereabouts. Yeah, not much difference in the low, but slightly up on the high. And then my favourite, evapotranspiration. We've had 37.4 millimetres leave us, which then actually gives us a deficit. So we're drier at the end of the month than the start of the month by 16.4 mil.
Just for our members, just remind them what evapotranspiration means.
So it's the loss of moisture out of the ground and the plant.
Yeah.
So we basically dried down by 16.4 millimetres of rain. And last year, 2024, we had 36.9 millimetres of evapotranspiration. So they're not dissimilar in that, but that left us 73.1 millimetres wetter due to the amount of rainfall being 110.
Yeah, I mean, just before we filmed this, we were chatting to Stuart outside, weren't we, about the hand mowing that was going on at this time of year, trying to get us ready for some kind of golf, and that wasn't just the greens, it was all over the course, wasn't it?
No,
the whole course.
And he brought a valid point up as well that I had forgotten about that last year we stopped or didn't host any singles competitions for the first month because of how wet we were and how much rainfall we'd had. 110 going into the start of the season, plus what we'd had the previous months. Didn't leave us very nice.
No, it wasn't a good good time for us this time this year, was it? We were pretty wet and concerned about trying to get some decent golfing in April, because our season for men starts first weekend in April with the handicap qualifying golf again. And last year we moved it all to 4-ball better balls, didn't we? Just so that we could get some golf in, because we didn't think it was fit. But we're in a much better position this year, aren't we?
And one number that I haven't got here, but I know it off the top of my head, and we'll probably talk about it more next time. It'll be more relevant next time, but we've started to take clip volume now, which is we measure the amount of grass that we take off the greens. And that has started to slowly increase. Obviously, the warmer temperatures is nice. And I can see that shooting up quite a bit next week. We've got some nice temps next week, averaging around 17, I think, something like that. So I think it might just start to kick in. There's been a little bit of growth. There was a full course cut last week, and there's been virtually a full course cut again this week, and there's certainly been some growth taken off. So I think next week, hopefully, that will kick in nicely.
So it's going to be like Costa del Wigan here next week, 18, 19 degrees.
Yeah, probably.
Good stuff.
Sure the lads will have the shorts on, which will be a sight for sore eyes. But,
They're not down a ditch next week.
No, probably not.
Right, okay.
I prefer to keep them down there. But...
So that just moves us on to a little bit at the start of the season. And I know you've got some course maintenance planned for next week as well.
Yeah, so I touched on last time that we'd had a breakdown, so maintenance didn't get fully completed.
Yeah.
The breakdown has been repaired now. It's taken us a few weeks to get it sorted, but we're up and running. We've had a test run with the top dresser, and it's all systems go for Monday morning. So Monday morning we will needle time, dress, and overseed all the greens, but the 8th hole and the back 7 holes that didn't receive dressing in the first maintenance round in February, they're going to get a double dose of dressing and probably another needle time as well, depending on how well the dressing goes in or doesn't.
Okay.
So you'll probably see a little bit more sand on the 8th and the back 7 holes throughout the week, but just trying to bring them up so they've had the same amount, albeit different times, but we're back to a level playing field to move forward from.
And this is going to include the practice green as well, isn't it?
Yeah. Putting green as well.
Yeah.
Good. And all the greens will receive an overseed.
Yeah. So with a bit of moisture still in the ground, bit of heat, hopefully some seeds should pop.
See some popping within 10 days, so
good.
Mid-week, the week after.
Yeah.
Something like that. Hopefully, them temperatures stay up there and we don't get any frosty nights or harsh frosty nights. I think we should be in a good place.
Good stuff.
I think they'll roll fine. They'll just might not look great with the sand on, but
well, I certainly know last time you did
any issues
before the breakdown, they were rolling really well. A lot of members were surprised at how good they were rolling.
Yeah, so fingers crossed we can get that knocked out. Certainly the first round will all be done on Monday, and then probably Monday morning we'll just Tuesday morning then we'll knock off the back 7 again.
Yeah,
or the 8th and the back 7, should I say?
Good stuff.
And then as the weeks progress, we kind of need to finish the winter works off.
Yeah,
and then in between that, if we do some winter works in the morning and some cutting and what have you, we can then jump on to now doing maintenance work on tees and approaches, as I said I would, but we've had the breakdown, kind of put us back a bit. So tees and approaches can have an Olacore, a top dress, and an overseed in the next couple of weeks, hopefully, and we'll probably knock 4 or 5 tees and approaches off of an afternoon over the course of a week. So within the week, whatever the weather dictates, we should be able to get them all done, but it'll just be a process of 4 or 5 every afternoon.
Sounds like a really good, strong plan to get us ready for proper summer golf.
Yeah.
So sounds good. You mentioned the winter works there. I know we've touched on that quite a few times in previous pods, and we've done a lot of work. Mother Nature's been kind to allow you to do it. We've done a lot of work on the drainage more than anything else over the winter. So just bring us up to date. Where are we with all that? And what's the plan to finish it off for?
Right, so we've got some tidying up to do on the 3rd to put that back in. But for the next few weeks, certainly from next Saturday, which will be our starting season, start of the season with the comps, the 3rd area will be staked off and it'll be a no-play zone for a few more weeks till we get a bit of growth and what have you in that area. All the stumps last week were filled and seeded, where we stump ground some trees out. They've all been filled and seeded, so we're just waiting for them to pop as well, which shouldn't be too long. And then we'll get that back into play and cut up and presented as we want. The 12th has been doing really well, but when we dug that in the first instance, we cut through an irrigation cable that we didn't know was there, which is always the case here. Wherever we dig a drain or a ditch, we'll always find an irrigation cable or an irrigation pipe, which is just brilliant planning. So that's been pieced back in, and that's ready to go to work. The 18th, in the past week or so, has had a lot more, or the ditch on the 18th has had a lot more drains put into it to dry up some more spots. They've all been completed. I think we've put in around 250 metres of drainage, 300 metres.
Okay,
I've not paced it out, but it's there or thereabouts. So that's all been tough, top dressed, levelled, etc. So that's more or less all of it started to root and take, which is nice. So probably by the end of the week we can get rid of some of them ropes and stakes that are stopping you all getting where you'd like to go, and that will not be far off being back into play.
Yeah. Talk us through the little weird spot on 12 in the trees to the right.
To the right. So
Yeah.
we had a wet spot that's been there for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much a perfect circle. Didn't know what was wrong, why it was permanently wet. Even in the driest of summers, it stayed wet. And it's a popular landing spot.
It's for me.
So we've excavated it out down to about 10 inch. For no reason why. It's wet. There's no water coming up. The ground underneath's bone dry. It's just a perfect circle of 10 inch of topsoil, just saturated. But in excavating that, we did find a rotten tree.
But the stump, the root
and the root of that. So we've dug that out,
right,
filled that in, and just created a slight mound.
Yeah.
It's stayed dry for now. We've put some seed on it. We'll kind of see what happens with it.
Yeah.
But I don't see any reason why it should go back to being wet like it was.
Yeah.
Because it was bad.
It was,
You know, there's no getting away from that. I can only assume it's because of that rotten stump that was there and what have you. So hopefully it's a little solution, a little problem cured.
I think we say it quite a bit, but sometimes the option is not to do anything, and we can't not do anything.
No.
With some of these areas because they've been like that for a while. So, as you say, fingers crossed, it'll be a dry landing spot in the tree for us now. For us hitting over there.
Yeah. Which will be good. So
that's good. And then some of the bunkers that we've been filling in over the winter. So the back of 11. 5
and 5. So 5, we've still got some work to do on there, which planning on Wednesday, if greens maintenance goes well on the Monday and Tuesday, we'll start it either Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning, get that level filled in, create the runoff, and then measure up all these areas for turf, get the turf in, and then over the course of the summer we can start to cut and expand the surround on the left hand side of the 5th. And take it down into a runoff area and maintain it and create a proper runoff area. But it's not going to happen overnight. You know, there's going to be a period of time where works are being done and what have you. But we'll get there. So sort of this time next week, we're on Friday now. This time next week, I'm hopeful that we'll have turf ordered and ready to go.
Good.
Monday or Tuesday the following week as well.
So it's important to reiterate that those areas are being turfed. We're not waiting for.
No, we're not waiting.
We're not seeding. We're not waiting for the seed to take. So they'll be back in play reasonably soon once you're ready.
Yeah,
but the turf will be the best solution for that.
Yeah. So good. 5 will be turfed.
Yeah.
The bunker on the back of the 11th that we filled in will be turfed, and the 18th ditch, if we drop back in there, that's going to be filled with large pipe and stone with the rest of the pipes plumbed into the large pipe, filled, and then we're going to have a concealed manhole in there. So we'll have a manhole that we can inspect every so often, but it's not going to be to the surface.
Right.
But we'll know where it is, so we can just have a little hole out, take the lid off, inspect, because it's right in front of the clubhouse here.
Yeah.
And it'll look a bit unsightly, so we'll do that, and then that area will get turfed as well.
Great.
So there's sort of three main areas to turf. And that should really see us into the season, I think.
Fantastic. That's a lot of work that's been done over winter, coming to an end. Bit of course maintenance this week to get us ready for the rest of the season. So sounds like we're in a good spot. Yeah,
really pleased with where we are. Pleased with the amount of work we've managed to get through. Yeah, we've not ticked off all the jobs we'd aimed for.
Yeah.
But I think the majority that we had on the list have been done or had some work done in them areas, which is key, and you know it's a step forward in the right direction.
Yeah. So from the last podcast to this one, we've talked about course maintenance, or the winter project, and we're now really excited about a summer's worth of golf now with decent weather in our favour over the next week with the Masters coming up. But we're also looking quite a bit further ahead into the future, aren't we, as Hindley Hall Golf Club?
A long way
into the future. We held this week, a couple of nights ago, Wednesday night, our EGM, which was to propose some major projects and development work to the course and the future of the golf club. for the members to vote on the other night. And resoundingly, a room full of about 160,
165, 170.
165, 70 members of the golf club voted overwhelmingly to go ahead with a really exciting project that's going to safeguard the future of Hindley Hall Golf Club, with the focus being creating our own sustainable water supply. When the government either hikes the prices so high that it becomes unaffordable on mains water, and more likely cuts us off altogether as leisure, as will be classed,
as a
which
sector.
we won't register in terms of our importance of having mains water. So we're safeguarding that for the future, and our members, to a rapturous applause actually, when the vote came in, it was a shock to see so much enthusiasm in the room to really drive the golf club forward. So just very briefly, and we're going to talk about this a lot, I think, over the next few years, and certainly the next 12 months before the project starts. Just give us a headline of what that actually looks like.
So we're 18 months, 2 years into the process of putting something together to be able to present to the members, and we're basically creating the crux of it all for me is that we need to create our own water source, our own water sustainability source that we can use for irrigation purposes. And as most people will know, reservoirs aren't cheap to build.
No.
So how do we go about doing that? So we've got contractors in, and we are now creating a new 12th and 13th holes and a new practice short game area, and then an open bed driving range for members.
Yeah.
And within that works, we'll then be able to create 2 water sources that will hold in the region of about 5 million litres of water that we can then use to irrigate on a yearly basis. So on an average now at the moment, we use thereabouts 2 million litres to water the greens.
Right. On an average year?
On an average year. You know, last year, I think we only turned it on 6 times, 7 times. The year before was more like average, and that was probably on about 25, 30 times. I've not totaled them numbers up, but it'll be somewhere around that.
Yeah.
And that's about average for us. That's 2 million litres.
Sounds, I can't visualise what 2 million litres of water looks like.
You know, we struggle to put more than that on, and we can't water tees by automatic irrigation because we can't get the water in quick enough. The fill isn't good enough on the tanks. We drain it down quicker than it fills.
Yeah.
But now with these 2 new ponds, hopefully, the new development, the tees will have irrigation put into them, and then we can then roll out irrigation on tees across the rest of the golf course as well.
Wow.
So it's exciting times ahead. I think the next 12 months or so will be relatively quiet with it, but we'll try and keep you all updated as best we can, just because we'll be in the planning process, and there's not really much news we can give.
So that's the reason it's going to be pretty quiet, is because we've got the planning process to go through now. And then it should be all systems go around this time next year. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
If everything goes to plan. But the fact that we've, as a golf club, voted this through overwhelmingly, I think it's a huge step forward for us.
Massive step forward.
And for somebody that works in the industry like myself, I can say that Hindley are leading the way with this. And there's a lot of eyeballs looking at how this works for us, and with a lot of enthusiasm. So I think it's a huge credit to you and Dave and the team that have brought us to this point, and the members for giving us as a committee, and for you and Dave the confidence to crack on and go ahead with it.
Really pleased that it was a success, that like you said, the vote was yes, you know, and that we've got the trust of everybody to take this forward and put our name on the map a little bit, you know, and show that little golf clubs like us can do something big.
Absolutely, yeah. So we're in the process, and some people might notice upstairs in the building between the locker rooms,
Yes,
cleared out some space on the wall, and Dave and the team are going to start using that as a bit of a central hub to keep everybody updated with what's happening with what is called Project 2030 for Hindley. So we're going to be creating like a 5-year plan. It's not going to quite take 5 years for us to get to a place where we've got the new holes open, but
certainly not the new holes in the driving range, but the other stuff we're hoping we'll
absolutely
have it complete by 2030.
Yeah, so we're calling it Project 2030. Everything's going to be kept updated through all our channels, but there will be something physical in the golf club that people can see in between the locker rooms.
Yeah.
So we'll probably do an extra pod on this over the next few weeks, just to bring in all the people that have been involved and bring some life to the project.
Yeah.
So that you can understand exactly the detail of it.
It's a cliche I don't like, but just take everybody on the journey with us.
Yeah.
And show them what can be done or can't be done. And you know, as we said in the meeting, we'll encounter problems along the way and issues and all that. It's to be expected. It's not going to go all swimmingly perfect, but we'll try and communicate the best we can and let everybody know where we're up to, what we're doing, and why this has happened and this hasn't, or vice versa. Yeah. And
put another cliche in there: if you can't make an omelette without breaking some eggs, so there might be 1 or 2 eggs dropped along the way, but we're very much with got a really strong plan for this one.
Yeah, we have. So
really good.
Looking forward to it.
Okay, so more on Project 2030 to come over the next few weeks, and of course over the next year or so until we get live with it. And we're heading into our first qualifying, men's qualifying, handicap qualifying event of the year.
A week tomorrow.
So weather's looking good, and at this time of year we always start to turn the TV on, and we'll be seeing the rolling fairways of Augusta National and the Masters.
Masters
Fever hits. Who's your pick?
Airberg.
Why?
Runner-up last year. Quality golfer.
Yeah. Just won as well at the Farmers.
So, yeah, he's my pick.
Right, okay.
I do like Xander as well.
But he's had a bit of a layoff, Xander. He's had a few injury issues, and he's come back and he's starting to play a bit better. So could come under the radar.
I might have a little each way on Xander as well, but my pick's Airberg.
Interesting.
Yours?
Well, I'm going to go for 3.
All right, okay.
I'm going to go for 3.
You did say this before.
I did. Let's chuck it in. First one, got to add Tommy Fleetwood. He's going to do it one day. Definitely going to have Tommy Fleetwood. If I don't have him and he wins, I'll be so disappointed because I have him every time. And he's due. So Southport's Tommy Fleetwood is mine, and then I have a sneaking suspicion it could be an American, like Jordan Spieth has started to show a little bit of form, and Justin Thomas has started to show a bit of form. So my Sky bet will have those 3 on it.
Best of luck, but I hope I win.
Well, do you know what? If you do, you can buy the beers afterwards.
No problem.
So that kind of brings us to an end of this particular podcast.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring you up to date with everything that was going on the course, introduce Project 2030, and wish all our members a fantastic season ahead, because spring is here, the sun is shining. As I said, it looks like Costa del Wigan next week with 18, 19 degrees.
It looks great.
So compared to this time last year, I think we should all be really positive and get out and enjoy our golf. Good or bad, just get out and enjoy our golf.
Yeah.
Okay.
Happy golfing.
Happy golfing, everyone, and we'll see you in the podcast next time.